Need help changing your life with fibromyalgia? This is Lives Changed with your host, Deborah Lundquist. Through knowledge and prayer, Deb has learned to live with this difficult and often misdiagnosed disease. Get spiritual and good practical advice for achieving good health and acceptance while living with fibromyalgia. So now, please welcome the host of Lives Changed, Deborah Lundquist.
Welcome to Lives Changed, a show about fibromyalgia and, as such, other chronic pain. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. In 1999, I had a life-changing experience myself. I had a death-defying car accident in which all the emergency people told me I should have died, but God had other plans. I acquired RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, or as they now call it, complex regional pain syndrome, which is the worst pain known to man according to the McGill Pain Index. And when the doctors put that to sleep, I don't say remission, we discovered I have fibromyalgia as well as several other complex or chronic pain and autoimmune diseases. To learn more about me, you can read my bio. I do need to say I am not a doctor or in the medical field in any way. Everything that I share with you, I have learned through extensive research and interviews with a multitude of doctors and other experts in the field who have given me materials not available to the normal patient living with the disease for over 19 years. I am a researcher from my old life, and so this just came naturally to me. And I retain everything. So if you have questions, call in while the show is live at 866-451-1451 and get your questions answered. If I don't have the answer to your question, I will write it down and I will get the answer for you for next week's show. And if you are shy to call in, which I can understand because I was very shy the first time I started talking on the show, you can email me. Now the email is changedradio@gmail.com. And I will make sure I answer your questions on the next show. Also, let me give you some other places where you can find me. On Facebook, you will find me on your YOUR space fibromyalgia, which is a support group for fibromyalgia and other chronic. And I have a web page, and that is https://DebLundquist.com. And that's my name, DebLundquist.com, where I have written articles for patients, members, caregivers, and anyone curious about fibromyalgia. A fun quiz, actually 2 quizzes now about fibromyalgia. One's easier than the other. The story of my life and how I got the disease. Access to the radio show, and I've listed all the shows and what they're about. And the all natural nutritional products that I use, sell, and there's also a work from home opportunity there as well for both of them. Also, I have other products I'm developing along the way. And if you have anyone who wants about fibromyalgia, this is a really good place to send them. You can also call me personally on my Google phone, which rings directly into my personal phone, and that number is 815-214-9443. Again, that's 815-214-9443. And if I don't answer, please leave a message and I will call you back. But sometimes I do answer, so don't be shocked. Also, my book is now available in a Kindle form as an ebook, and that is called RSD CRPS from a Patient's Perspective, and it's edited by Dr. Philip Getson. He's a DO, and all of the and the procedures CRPS that's in there. So look it up. It's RSD CRPS from a Patient's Perspective, and the price is $24.99. I didn't set the price. The people who edited the book did, and you can download it to your phone or to your Kindle or whatever. Now, the first thing that I like to do at every show is repeat affirmations out loud. This is something that I have found very helpful to me. I do it every day still, and I think you'll find it very helpful for you. So I repeat it. We do this every single week. I say them first, important, and the second time we do them out loud together. Here we go. I am alone, and we aren't alone. In the United States, there are 10 million of us, and that doesn't include children or teenagers, those who are underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed. And it doesn't include our heroes coming back from war who are diagnosed with PTSD, and then some of those are diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I am beautiful or handsome, as the case may be. And this is no longer considered just a woman's disease, because I don't know why it was ever just considered a woman's disease, but doctors never used to think men could get it, which is just ridiculous. And so the ratio used to be 4-to-1, and that ratio is changing rapidly. And the last article that I read on it, it was more like 3-to-2. I am loved. And yes, we are loved by the family we've created and by the fibromyalgia community, which is a very, very tight community. I am needed. And yes, we are needed. We are needed by the family that has stayed with us, the family we've created, and we are needed by the fibromyalgia community. We're needed so much. So if you haven't joined a support group, you need to. You can't go through this illness without a support group to help boost you up, to help educate you, and they need you to help boost them up. We lean on each other, and that's really what we need, because the support group will help you to that you are not alone, because we're not. And they help you realize that you're loved, and they help you realize that you're really, really needed. And with that, I still have a purpose. And you do. We still have the purpose that we had before, and it's grown because the fibromyalgia community will show you that you still have a purpose within the community, because we need each other, like I said. And then, if there are 10 million people that have fibromyalgia plus in the United States, just think how loud our voice could be in raising awareness. I am important, and I want you to stamp that on your forehead, on the inside of your head, because yes, oh my gosh, we are important people, and not just to the family that you've created, but to the fibromyalgia community, so, so important. And I want you to realize that, because it really makes a difference when you realize how important we really are. Then I want you to look into the mirror and look in your beautiful eyes, and I want you to say to yourself, I love you. And if you've forgotten how to love yourself, I want you to listen to show 40 and 41, because we discuss that. And then on my DebLundquist.com page, I have an article about how to love yourself again. I mean, really learn to fall in love with yourself again. Because the more you love yourself, the less you're going to let doctors, therapists, anybody walk all over you ever again. Fibromyalgia is real. You know it. You know what you're feeling is real. And you won't let anybody tell you otherwise ever again. I am a survivor, a warrior even. I am still me. And yes, the outer part of your body is a shell, but the inside of your body is you. And the inside of your body, the essence of you is still there and has never changed. And I want you to realize that. You need to get to the point where you accept that fibromyalgia is here to stay. And then once you accept that, you're going to realize that the essence of who you really are is still there. And that is really important for you to realize that. I am unique. There is no one else like me anywhere in the world. That makes me not only special, that makes me powerful. And it's true. Identical twins aren't really alike. They have their own personalities. Some are maybe a inch shorter or taller than the other. So if that's the case, then there really aren't other people who are just exactly like you. And that's important to realize. Okay, let's go through these one more time. Now this time, you say them out loud with me. And if you're new and you've never heard these before, you need to write them down. Say them every day in front of a mirror. That's what makes them powerful. And don't say them to yourself. Say them out loud. Say them in the morning when you get up. If you're depressed, say them 3 times a day, and say them when you go to bed. That's how they work. So let's say them out together now. I am not alone. I am beautiful or handsome. I am loved. And yes, you really, really are loved. I am needed. I still have a purpose. I am important. I love you. And folks, I say it every week, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't do this radio show if I didn't love you. Once I got to acceptance of my chronic pain diseases, I realized such a great love for everybody who is suffering from chronic pain. And that's why I do this radio show. And I'm not saying it with a falsehood. It's very true. Just ask anybody on your fibromyalgia. I always say to them, I love you to the moon and back, and they believe me because it's true. I am a survivor. That makes me a warrior. I am still me. I am unique. There is no one else like me anywhere in the world. That makes me not only special, makes me powerful. And you know what, folks? That is a gift. And so you have unique skills. You have unique talents. Don't waste them. Today we are going to finally finish our in-depth discussion on the topic from the support group. So get your paper and pen out so you can write the source down, please. And I have found a great deal on this. I'm going to share that with you. And I found a fantastic source full of useful and helpful information. And I'm not going to give you everything that's on the source, but I'm giving you the information that you can look it up. And so here it is. It's https:// C as in cat, H as in hat, E, L as in Lucy, P as in Peter, .org /. I'll say it again. https:// www.I, C as in cat, H as in hat, E, L as in Lucy, P as in Peter, .org. That's O, R as in Richard, G as in garden, /. Okay, so we are finally on the 6th line of surgery. And I know I talked a little bit about this last week, but I'm going to just go ahead and repeat. I didn't get very far into it. So, surgical procedures, caution. Remember this before considering surgery. We have fibromyalgia. We will heal slower than others without this disease. If we also have RSD, CRPS, the healing will be even slower if we heal at all. Surgery for us is definitely a last resort situation. Make sure your nutrition is at its very best before you even consider this option. Also, if you're considering surgery, get a second opinion before doing so. It is your body and you have a right to do this. Now that was my little insert. That is not from the site itself. Now this is coming from the site. For people with interstitial cystitis, IC, the term surgery may be used to describe tests to diagnose IC, as well as treatment options. One surgical procedure called cystoscopy and hydrodistension, we've already talked about that, may be used to both diagnose and treat IC. Surgery may also be performed to implant an electrical nerve stimulator to help relieve IC symptoms. Otherwise, with the exception of laser surgery for Huyner's ulcers, bladder surgery option is generally considered a treatment of last resort. Only a urologist experienced in treating IC can advise you on the appropriate surgery for your particular situation. Let's talk about laser surgery. It has been used successfully to treat Huyner's ulcers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's spelled H as in hat, U, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, E, R as in Richard, apostrophe S as in Sam. So that's to treat ulcers or patches, which are present in 5 to 10% of IE patients. A type of transurethral fulguration laser surgery works by destroying a layer of tissue using an electrical current or laser beam. This may provide relief of symptoms caused by these ulcers. However, symptoms can recur over time, necessitating additional laser surgery. No other uses of lasers for treating IC have been clinically proven. Therefore, laser surgery should be reserved for the ulcerative form of IC only. Other types of bladder surgery is invasive and irreversible. Many IC patients who choose to have surgery may not improve. Some patients do worse after surgery. Surgery should be considered only when all other treatment choices have failed. Talk to your doctor before the procedure. Learn what to ask. Ask about all potential complications, such as infections, metabolic disturbances, stone formation. I can't get that word out for nothing. Perforation, increased mucus production, recurrence of IC, and kidney damage over a period of 15 to 20 years. Urinary diversion. There are various types of urinary diversions. The bladder may be removed or left in place. In one urinary diversion procedure, the surgeon fashions a tube or conduit from a short section of bowel and replaces the ureters which carry urine from the kidneys to the bladder in this conduit. The conduit is then diverted to an opening in the abdomen called a stoma, through which urine is allowed to drain continually into an external collection bag. Urinary diversion eliminates frequency, but may not always result in elimination of pain. Another option is to construct an internal pouch known as a cock, Florida, or Indiana pouch from a bowel segment and place it inside the abdomen. The urine is emptied from the pouch by self-catheterization 4 to 6 times each day. The next one is orthotopic diversion. For this procedure, the bladder is removed and a new bladder constructed from a bowel segment is connected to the urethra, replacing the removed bladder. Patients then void through the normal urethra channel without the necessity of a catheter or a bag. The development of urinary incontinence is one possible drawback of this procedure. Augmentation cystoplasty. Now, this surgery removes part or most of the bladder and replaces it with a section of the patient's bowel to form a new bladder. Urine continues to be stored in the bladder and emptied through a urethra. Following this procedure, some patients will continue to experience some symptoms of frequency, urgency, and pain. IC has also been reported to recur in the augmented bowel segment of these newly fashioned bladders. Some patients who undergo a total cystectomy, bladder removal, still experience pelvic pain, which is phantom pain, including that neurologic mechanisms are an important aspect of IC that is not yet understood. of course. Because of these drawbacks, this procedure is seldom performed. Fifth and sixth line treatments such as immunosuppressants and Botox are for those who have tried and failed multiple treatments. You may want to seek second opinion about these treatment options. For these treatments, also look for a doctor who is an IC expert. And again, this source was from https://www.I as in hat, C as in cat, H as in hat, E, L as in Lucy, P as in Peter.org/. I have taken this directly from the website. This is where you should go for further information that I have removed or haven't used. They have more information on their site than I have even told you after the last few shows. Like I have said over and over, this is a very good site for anyone who has this problem. I also had another question about mesh surgical implants used in bladder surgery. So first I went to the FDA and to see what they had to say. The FDA determines the safety and effectiveness of finished products, not raw materials. However, in this case, to thoroughly address the allocations, we reviewed testing of the polypropylene raw material as well as the finished mesh manufactured with polypropylene resin from both sources. We found variability between the polypropylene resin from both suppliers, but determined, based on the information available to us, that these differences do not present new safety or effectiveness concerns and do not require submission of new pre-market notification. Surgical mesh is a medical device that is used to provide additional support when repairing weakened or damaged tissues. The majority of surgical mesh devices currently made available are made from man-made or synthetic materials or animal tissue. Surgical mesh made from synthetic materials can be found in knitted mesh or non-knitted sheet forms. The synthetic materials can be either absorbable or non-absorbable or a combination of both. Animal-derived mesh are made of animal tissue, such as intestine or skin, that have been processed and disinfected to be suitable for the use as an implanted device. These animal-derived mesh are absorbable, and the majority of tissue used to produce these mesh implants are from a pig or a cow. Non-absorbable mesh implants, I went too far, will remain in the body indefinitely and is considered a permanent implant. It is used to provide permanent reinforcement in strength to the urogynecologic repair. An absorbable mesh will degrade and lose strength over time. It is not intended to provide long-term reinforcement to the repair site. As the material degrades, new tissue growth is intended to provide strength to the repair. Surgical mesh can be used for urogynecologic procedures, including repair of pelvic organ prolapse and stress urinary incontinence. It is permanently implanted to reinforce the weakened vaginal wall or POP repair, or support the urethra or bladder neck for the repair of SUI. There are 3 main surgical procedures performed to treat pelvic floor disorders with surgical mesh. Transvaginal mesh to treat POP, transabdominal mesh to treat POP, and mesh sling to treat SUI. Each of these procedures has unique risks and benefits, and it is important not to confuse the procedures and risks and benefits. In this site, the FDA describes POP and SUI, the different surgical and non-surgical treatment options, recommendations for healthcare providers that treat women with POP and/or SUI, recommendations for patients who are considering surgery for these conditions, and steps to report problems to the FDA. This information is to help patients make informed decisions about their health care and to facilitate a decision between patients and their health care providers about treatment options. The information provided on this site is not meant to replace a discussion with your health care provider. And then I went to Mayo and found this. What are the safety concerns about the use of surgical mesh to treat pelvic floor disorders? Well, each type of mesh carries its own risks and benefits. Due to reports of complications during or after surgery of POP in 2016, the FDA changed the classification of surgical mesh to repair POP transvaginally from a moderate risk device to a high risk device. The FDA orders apply only to transvaginal use of surgical mesh to treat POP. The orders don't apply to the use of transvaginal mesh for SUI. Research has shown that surgical mesh for transvaginal repair of POP can cause complications such as mesh erosion, pain, infection, bleeding, pain during sex, organ perforation, and urinary problems. Many of these complications require additional treatment, including surgery. Treating SUI with a mesh sling can also cause complications, including mesh erosion, infection, and pain. However, some research suggests that complications are less frequent and usually less severe than are complications associated with surgical mesh from transvaginal repair of POP and usually do not require follow-up surgery. So, what questions should I ask before seeking a mesh treatment for pelvic floor disorder? If you're considering treatment for pelvic floor disorder that involves surgical mesh, be sure to have your healthcare provider explain all of your options, as well as all of their possible risks and benefits. In particular, be aware of the risks associated with surgical mesh for transvaginal repair of POP, such as the need for additional surgery due to mesh-related complications. Now, with all that said, I would suggest if you head towards surgery, you think hard about it and have a good discussion with your team, including your surgeon. Ask your surgeon these questions, okay? You need to learn about the procedure and what to expect. Learn all the pros and cons before surgery. Remember, this is your body and you have a right to know all the answers to your questions. Are there other forms of treatments to try before considering surgery, such as pain management techniques or pain medicines? What are the chances that I will still have IC symptoms after the surgery? How long will the surgery take? How long will my hospital stay be? And how long is the recovery period? Also, I want to add here, if you are allergic to any of the anesthesia, any pain medication like fentanyl or anything, make sure that you tell them before you go into the procedure. Also, if you're allergic to any antibiotic, you tell them before you go into the procedure so that they know before they start. How many patients, these are other questions, how many patients have you performed this procedure on and how are they doing? What are the known complications of the procedure? Is there a chance that I will have to self-catheterize after surgery, and will this be temporary or permanent? How will my bowel function be affected by the surgery? Will my kidneys be affected by the surgery? How will my activities be restricted after surgery? If I continue to have pain, how can it be treated? What conditions may require further surgery, and what are the chances I will need it? How do I prepare myself for surgery? Is psychological counseling recommended for patients considering bladder surgery? I hope these last 5 shows on IC have been helpful and have answered many of your questions. If you have more, please go to the website I gave you at the beginning of the show. Here it is again, https:// as in cat, H as in hat, EL as in Lucy, P as in Peter.org/. If you have any questions at all, shoot them an email and I'm sure they will help you. I don't have any more answers for you, so don't question me, question them. Okay? The next topic is the fall equinox. Yes, we have changed to fall. If you are experiencing additional pain or have gone into an unexpected flare, chalk it up to the fall equinox, the time of year when we pass from summer to fall. There are 4 equinoxes in the year. Every time we change seasons, on the very day it changes, that is the equinox. And it is very hard on our bodies. It can cause a flare. It can cause our pain and all of our symptoms to increase. So we need to be prepared for this. I even felt this one, and I don't feel any pain. So have our emergency kits ready at all times. Get some unsweetened cherry juice, 100% pure and not from concentrate where you add water. Drink it 3 times a day. It's a natural pain reliever. So make sure you take as many Epsom salt soaks as you can. That gets magnesium into your body quickly. And if you don't have a bathtub, you can soak your feet in a foot tub, okay? Because your feet have the largest pores in your body and they will absorb that magnesium. Also make sure that you're taking your D3, magnesium glycinate, and calcium, because you need to take all 3 for the D3 to be absorbed. Get blood tests first to make sure that you're taking enough of the D3. Some people need more than others. Then use heat or ice, or in a combination of both, whichever helps the most. Then rest as much as you can, although you do need to move. Don't forget to move even though you're resting. This too shall pass as we get more into the fall season. This always does, but we have to get further into the fall season for it to pass. Stay warm. Okay, sinus infections. Now, I'm going to take you a completely different direction. I'm going to have to finish it next week, but we'll get started. Do you constantly get sinus infections? I know that many people in my support group do, and I may have just stumbled on a reason why, and I mean stumbled. As I'm reading Dr. Geneva Limpton's book, The Fibro Manual, I have just come upon her section on this very topic. And let me tell you what she says. If you have her manual, you will find it under Finding and Treating Chronic Low-Grade Infections. The lack of sleep and chronic stress response in fibromyalgia both reduce your ability to fight off infections, and many patients' energy levels are dragged down by chronic subclinical infections. These smolder below the level of full-blown illnesses, but still aggravate the immune system and cause inflammation. The tonsils, sinuses, gums, teeth, intestinal tract, and vagina are the most common locations of some subclinical infections. I have had several fibromyalgia patients whose symptoms improved after removing chronic abscess teeth or treatment for other prolonged low-grade oral infections. If you suspect you have and may have an oral infection, she suggests visiting a dentist or oral surgeon for assessment. Newer imaging techniques, such as a cone-beamed, that's C-O-N as in Nancy, E-beam CT scans, provide much better images of periodontal bones and can find hidden or deep infections that are detected by X-rays. And she gives a source. Other common hidden infections include yeast overgrowth that I'm going to have to get into later, but we've come to the end of the show. You've been listening to Lives Changed, and I'm Deb Lundquist, your host. I'm so very thankful that you have been listening today, and I hope that you have found it very helpful to you. I know that we have been talking about the one subject for 5 weeks, but I hope that it has been helpful. Please join us next week. Have a blessed week, and I will see you again.
You've been listening to Lives Changed with host Deborah Lundquist. Find out each week how Deb can educate, guide, and help you get through the daily challenges of living with fibromyalgia on Deb Lundquist's Lives Changed.